Good afternoon there. Good day wherever you are, and thanks for the invitation to be with you, at least virtually. I'd like to share just a few words about the program here in the Department of Energy Office of Science, and obviously in particular on advanced accelerator technologies. I'd also like to give a few thoughts on proposed future colliders. And I think I've got about 10 minutes. I won't go much longer than that, if that. So. Accelerators are really at the core of what we do at the Department of Energy Office of Science. Accelerators and accelerator technology, they've been an integral and enabling part of the Office of Science portfolio since, pardon the noise outside, we have motorcycles, since before there was an Office of Science, before there was a Department of Energy, before we had national laboratories. Just had the privilege of being on the Hill at Berkeley safely with a mask on last week, where much of that seminal work was done here in the US. Yeah, I don't need to tell you all that after their debut there in the 30s, the succession of larger, more powerful machines for particle-based scientific research really had a fundamental effect on how our country and how the world does science, right? In the United States, these big machines for science and the large and international collaborations that work on them are a cornerstone of our science mission. And what we've learned, that these efforts have led directly to what we call one of our superpowers, and that's science at scale, right? Big machines for science, conceived of, built, operated by really, huge scientific teams. That's a remarkable skill. And this science at scale that we learned over the years by working with accelerators has now translated for us over to how we do high performance computing, how we do, artificial intelligence and machine learning, genomics, material science, fusion even, and obviously, closer to home to the instruments, the detector instrumentation for the large experimental collaboration. So, really it fundamentally altered the way we do science. And in this country, obviously this is shared around the world, but in this country, it's relatively unique. The Department of Energy as an agency does this science at scale, and other agencies have different ways of doing things because they never had this transformation. So, these accelerators not only enabled and changed science, but they've also changed the world. So how important is it for us? The number I have for my team is some 30,000 accelerators at work across the world in discovery science, but also in areas ranging from diagnosing and treating diseases to obviously some interesting industrial processes. They've also led to a host of practical applications and have introduced new and emerging technologies that benefit society and our daily lives. At DOE, we operate across our laboratory complex 32 of these sort of world unique user facilities. These serve about 35,000 users a year. And more than half of those users come to facilities to conduct research that depends on large particle accelerators. So again, fundamental to what we do. Our report, Accelerators for America's Future, points out that accelerators of tomorrow will promise still greater opportunities. I think these next generation particle beams promise more efficient, cost-effective, and maybe greener alternatives to how we do things now. There are going to be improvements to health and well-being. Obviously, cancer treatment is one. There are clearly going to be others. And of course, they allow us to continue the search for understanding how our universe works at the most fundamental levels. But I want to channel my inner engineer for a moment. I was an engineer before I became a scientist. I study the brain, a little bit different than what most of you all do. I'm incredibly excited about this idea that we can shrink these machines down from kilometers to meters, right? As I look across the range of issues that I've had the privilege to be involved with in my time at the Department of Energy in the Office of Science. We have a broad, we don't, accelerators are a big part of what we do. It's not everything that we do. There's probably nothing more consequential that I am able to do than to say, yes, let's go after this, let's do that. It's an obvious way to expand the scope of science. It's an obvious way to improve the human condition, an obvious way to change the world. As an engineer, it's kind of exciting too. It's really cool. So we're really excited about that. I'm really excited about that. Whether compact accelerators, this more aspirational work or near term development, we continue to invest in accelerator research and accelerator stewardship. We intend to continue to lead, or to try to lead, in this amazing technology, including compact accelerators. And I do want to say that while we're going to continue to be good partners with collaborators and industrial partners around the world, as a matter of policy, we're going to nurture and maintain as robust a supply chain as we can here in the United States for these critical parts. We think that it's important. We have some really exciting work going on right now at our existing user facilities. This includes, great progress on LCLS2 at SLAC, where at least virtually, nominally we're being hosted, upgrades to our light sources at Argonne and Berkeley. It includes our contributions to LHC High-LUMI at CERN, PIP2 at Fermilab, the Electron Ion Collider that's going to be hosted at Brookhaven National Lab. Those are all exciting. And of course, there's the possibility of a future International Linear Collider and a future Circular Collider. Just for the record, again, as I've expressed before, there is a strong interest in participation by the United States in an ILC program. Earlier this year, in February, our Secretary of Energy, my boss, Dan Briette, also expressed these same thoughts when he wrote to Japan's Cabinet Minister of State for Science and Technology, Mr. Takamoto. We plan to continue discussions both bilaterally with MEXT and other officials in the government of Japan, and multilaterally with governments of other global regions to have a dialogue on the sharing of costs and resources. But also we need to talk about organizational and governance models for this kind of large-scale facility. I do believe that any next phase should not just be a technical discussion among the laboratories. Yes, that's important. Yes, that needs to continue. But it's really important at this stage that agencies and ministries that might contribute to funding a world-class machine like this, an important collaboration, they need to be part of a resource conversation at a high level. It just can't be left abstract, or we won't get anywhere. I know that this meeting this week focuses mainly on linear colliders. I would like to say a word about, circular collider as well. As I've mentioned on a number of occasions, the U.S. is also committed to remaining good partners with CERN. We support the 2020 European strategy. We're pleased that it recommended that CERN and Europe launch technical and financial feasibility studies towards a proposed future circular collider. So we're looking forward to what comes out of that process. And obviously here in the US, our particle physics community is now engaged in its community-wide SNOMAS study that's going to provide input to next year's P5 strategy process. And this is a process that will eventually inform our decisions about the size and scale of US contributions to future collider initiatives. The United States is committed to remaining a leading player in the landscape of large international collaborations for physics. Great scientific discoveries come from collaborations and reciprocal exchanges that cross national borders and adhere to the best traditions and shared values. This is an area that is of particular importance to the Department of Energy and to the United States government, that shared scientific values and shared scientific norms will factor into our planning for collaborative partnerships. It's not just because accelerator science and technology are fundamentally dual use with obvious security dimensions for any nation, but it's also the right thing to do, to insist that we maintain these standards of what open collaborative science is, and that frameworks for intellectual property that have commercial implications are recognized and adhered to. I do believe that American participation in overseas projects like the LHC and participation by global partners in US-based projects like LBNF and Dune are outstanding examples of how to do this international collaboration. And so we welcome more collaborations that respect established norms and are win-win. So those are the main points I wanted to touch on. I would like to conclude my remarks by thanking you all sincerely, for the dedicated work that you do to push this technology and this science forward. I'm a visitor. People like me come and go in these government leadership positions like the one I occupy, and conception, construction, operation of these, these grand machines for science occurs on a time scale of decades. It's leaders like in our world, in our department, in my organization, Jim Segrist and his team. It's groups that are organized to give us formal advice to our government, to our agency, and those of you in communities like this one that maintain the focus over the long haul and make these, decades-long achievements possible. I haven't been here long, but I've been here long enough now to appreciate the care with which the physics community approaches their planning for the future, a bit about the effort that goes into each one of these facilities. And I just want to say it's a profound privilege to be able to address you today in my role with the Department of Energy, to be able to participate just for a little while in this small way in the profound work that you do. So thank you, and I hope the meeting has been fruitful and useful, and I think we all can look forward to a very bright future in this field. So thank you.